Hey everybody, we're back. This is a kind of a part 2 to our windrowing video. Today we're going to spread windrows. We have to spread them out and get the floor fairly level so that we can clean up corners and take out litter that we don't need, and then pull a box blade through and really level the floor. We're going to use a litter blade made by Prefert. Now they're not a sponsor. They can be if they want to be, but they're not. We could use the windrower to spread the windrows with, but if you do, you do get a chance to grind up any cake that's left, but it's a lot slower. This, from what I've found, this by far is the best option to spread windrows. I don't care for it that much with building windrows. I don't think it moves enough litter. I don't think it's heavy enough. I think there's too many points where you have lost motion. I think it, like when your tractor starts to give and you get a load on the blade itself, it tends to rock up a little because you have lost motion at the top link, at the bottom links, here, there, everywhere has lost motion. And when you add all of that up, you wind up, you might be an inch up off the floor. So you're leaving an inch worth of litter on the floor. So I don't care for it so much about building windrows. Spreading windrows, can't beat it. Cannot beat it. It has feet on the back. You have one here, one there, and you can set those wherever you want to maintain litter depth. We got them set this time at about 6 inches. That's an inch deeper than we try to run usually. We don't have room really to take litter out this time, as much litter out. Now they're set at about 6 inches. Realistically, by the time you take up the lost motion that I mentioned a minute ago, like here, that pin, top link, the two bottom links, by the time you take up that lost motion, we'll probably have somewhere around 7 inches of litter in places. Might be 6 and some, might be 7 and some. It'll be close enough. But this thing is very handy. It basically is a scrape blade, but it's a scrape blade that can be rotated to the side, rotated to the other side. The blade moves rotationally independent from the main frame. You have the feet, you can rotate the blade up and down. It's kind of like a 6-way blade on a dozer. You can't do it with hydraulics. You have to do it with a pin, do it manually, but it works very well. And it also has a wall blade, which is very similar to what's on the windrower to pull litter away from the wall. Now we're going to step in here and I'm going to give you an idea of what we're going to do, and then we're going to do it. So here's our windrow. What we're going to do, I'm actually going to start on that side. But what we're going to do is roll this windrow all the way to the wall. Take the blade and pull it all the way to the wall. It'll take 3 or 4 passes to get it over there. But once we get it to the wall, there will still be some left here windrowed in a pile. We'll pull the rest of the pile toward the middle. Then we'll come back to the wall and start working from the wall toward the middle and moving litter in, moving litter in, moving litter in, so that we get a nice even layer of litter on the sides. Then wherever that runs out is where we'll take the middle windrow and fill in. That way there won't be as much to pull back toward the middle to build the smaller berms that we're going to take out. All that'll make sense in just a few minutes, I promise. But let's get started. I need a mask. knock down the side windrows. We have one spread to this wall, got one spread to that wall. If you look right here, I'm standing over, this is a berm, that this litter may be a foot deep or more. I didn't roll it all the way to the wall, and the reason why is you have a wing on the side of that blade. And what I do now is I run the wing over next to the wall, and it will actually knock the berm down, and you'll spread some to the wall and pull more of it back. What we're going to do now is I'm going to come around, I'll turn around and go the opposite way, pull the wing against the wall, and move this litter back across the house, coming toward the center. And the reason why I didn't knock this center windrow down yet is I want to see how far I can pull litter back this way before I start taking any of this out. If you start taking this out now, you're just going to be pulling more of it back to the center. So kind of a waste of time at that point. But we're going to get started with that, and we won't have to use a whole lot of this middle windrow, I don't think. We're actually spreading an inch deeper than we normally do, just because we don't have anywhere to put litter, and it being wintertime, it's kind of hard to get rid of it. So we may have to spread more of this a little, may have to run the floor a little deeper than I want to this time. But that's just the way it is. Kind of feels like you're walking on the beach constantly. Danielle just gave a good eye roll to that one. So, but that's what we're going to do next. we got them spread. We got the middle one spread. This is not as pronounced as what we usually have, but right here, right between my feet, there is a berm of litter here. It's probably 6 inches high, maybe a little more than that. There's another one right over there, and that's what we're going to take out this time. Usually these berms end up being about a foot high, and there may be 3 of them in the house. Now we spread it deeper this time because we don't have as much room to store litter. So we can't really afford to be taking as much out. We'll take these out with our decaker with what they call a total clean out plate installed. It goes over the grate where the finer litter falls back through. The plate goes over the grate, won't let anything fall back through, so it takes out everything. The reason we do that is it's faster than the skid steer. It's a one-person job. You don't have to take it here, take it out there, dump it, come back, and you don't have to have somebody out there constantly moving litter so that you have room to put it. And it does a better job as far as keeping the floor level. You can set it down to the floor where you want it, pull it through with the tractor, and that's where the floor level will be. We'll get some video of that too. The next thing for this house is Danielle's going to come in with a skid steer and fix the corners. She won't let me video it. She's nervous when I'm not watching her, and she certainly does not want y'all watching her because that makes her that much more nervous.
This is only my second time.
This is only her second time doing it. She does a great job, but she would rather just do it by herself, not have anybody watching. And I don't blame her. I get that. I did drop some blade loads toward the corner so she has enough to scoop up and fix the corners with. And then once she gets the corners fixed, we'll come back in with the decaker, like I said, with the total clean out plates. And we may do that some tomorrow while she's fixing corners or whatever. Depending on the kids' schedule, I may have to fix corners. And it's just, we're running out of time. We have church this weekend, so, you know, we have to make time for that, obviously. But
conferences
tomorrow night, and then church is Sunday morning. So it may wind up being a all afternoon Sunday and part of Sunday night, getting ready for them to come bug spray on Monday.
It has to be done by Monday.
Yeah, it has to be done by Monday morning. Just kind of the boat we're in. It seems like we stay in this boat, but that's what's next. We'll come in with a decaker, pick up these berms. She can fix these corners, and I'm going to move to another house and do the same thing. So we'll see you guys when we start with the decaker. Hey everybody, on to the next step. We've got all the windrows spread. You can see they're all spread out across the floor. And you can see this berm here. I don't know how well you can see it. It's right here, this little berm. Right there. If you turn and look back toward the tractor, you may be able to see a little better. You can see here where it's going underneath the tractor. Now, this is the excess litter that we don't need in here, so we're going to take it out. We usually take out more, but we don't have as much covered storage space at the moment. Just wintertime, can't haul litter because pastures are wet and hay fields are wet. You just destroy people's places trying to get in and out of them. So what I'm doing is we're taking the decaker. We made a video not too long ago running the decaker, and there's actually another berm right here that we're going to take out if it seems like we have room. But what we're doing is feeding it straight in just like we did the cake litter, but this time we're using these. This is a clean out plate, total clean out plate. Goes over the grate underneath the elevator chain where smaller stuff falls through and goes back to the floor, and instead of it falling through and going to the floor, it goes into the tank. And if you look here, this is the first load I've taken out of this house, and you can see right here it's nice and flat. There's no berm. So that's what we're going to do for the remainder of the house. And this is actually the last house I have to do this in. And then we will be putting our box blade on. It's a litter blade made by Creekview also. It's their 10-foot litter blade, and we'll put that on, smooth these things up, and get them ready for some bug spray and some A7 tomorrow. So better get at it. It's getting close to 5 o'clock. It'll probably be well after dark before I get done. But I'm kind of on my own today. Danielle is with one of the children, the one that's sick. So they're at the house, and I'm up here, and got to get done. So hang around. We'll show you some more here in a few minutes. go put the box blade on. And we're gonna smooth up some floors. So y'all excuse me, I'm just kind of tired of doing this time for some reason. Seems like a quick process, but it is not. By the time you windrow, I think you saw the part 1 video maybe, that's about an hour a house the first time, so that's 6 hours. And then when you turn them over, that's another hour a house, so there's your 12 hours. By the time you spread them out, that's another hour per house. That's 18 hours. If we do it like we normally do when we're cleaning the litter out, that's another probably 1.5 hours to 2 hours per house. So there's you another 9 to 12 hours. And you get tired of working litter by the time you get to this point. But we're almost done, almost to the finish line. Just got to stick it out for another 2 or 3 hours, and we'll be done. Get tomorrow off because they're spraying bug spray and A7, which is used to combat some ammonia. And I don't think we have to stay out when they're doing that, but I don't care anything about going in there. I don't know what that mess would do to you, and I don't want to find out. So go put the box blade on. We'll be back with you in a few minutes. Alrighty, we got the blade on. Let's talk about the blade. This is a Creekview LB10. It stands for Litter Blade 10. It's 10 feet wide. It's not a heavy made box blade. It's not real heavy duty, but all you're moving is litter, so you don't need it to be very heavy duty. The main frame itself is fairly heavy. You can see, here's the feet. These feet will ride on the dirt floor of the chicken house, and that's kind of how we gauge the depth. We can use the remote hydraulics to move the actual blade up and down. You set the feet down on the floor, the dirt floor, with a 3-point, set it all the way down and start pulling, and they dig into the floor, get down to the dirt, and then you set your blade at the height where you want it. Now you do have a scale here. You can see the scale right here. I don't think it's exactly right as far as inches go to tell you how many inches you've got, how much litter you've got, all that. But what I like to do is I start pulling and I wait till I see the blade cut all the way across. When I see the blade touch all the way across, that's where I stop. I don't care how many inches of litter are in here as long as there's inches of litter in here. But then you can adjust it with remote hydraulics. So if you're going along, you can take your remote, you can let the blade down, as you see there, and it's independent of the 3-point. You can raise it up to wherever you want it. It's a very handy thing. I think there's a few different blades on the market that do this, but this one is a Creekview, same as our windrower. We bought them at the same time. They make an 8-foot and a 10-foot blade, and I think when we bought this one, the price difference was just a few $100s. I don't even think it was $1,000, and for 2 more feet, it was worth the price difference. It's a pretty fair load on this tractor, but again, we've discussed my issues with this tractor. But let me show you what we're going to do here. When you come in here and look, when we spread these windrows, let me turn you guys around where you can see. You can see you still have these berms, or these little divots in the floor, and you've got a few berms here across the floor, and over here by the wall you may even be a little bit shallow. You may not quite have enough litter there. So what I do when I come in, the first thing I do is I drive back and forth in like a zigzag pattern all the way down and move all the way back, and as I'm coming back I move over a little and then come back again from the other end and keep moving over until I get most of the floor covered. And what that does is knocks the peaks down and kind of fills in the holes as I go. Once I get most of the floor in the center covered, then I'll start making laps around the house and really smooth everything up. And I think it works very well doing it that way. To me, it works better to knock the peaks off first, because if you knock the peaks off first, then as you're pulling along the whole house trying to smooth the floor, you're not running up on the peaks, you're not running off in the divots, and your tractor's not tipping back and forth. Because with a 3-point hitch, if your tractor tips one way or the other, your hitch tips also. So it's going to cause your blade to either dig in on one side or maybe raise up on one side, and you're not going to get a nice floor like you want. But I'm going to set you guys over here kind of to the side and let you just watch what I do. Like I say, when I come in the house, first thing I do is I zigzag back and forth across the entire length of the house, and I keep moving over until I get the whole floor pretty much run across, just kind of a rough pass. And then once that's all done, we'll talk about it then. But after that, I'll take the blade, go around the outside, and just keep moving in as I go until I hit the center and finish it up. So let me set you guys down over here and you can watch me work. Alright, let me show you what we've done. We've pulled the blade back and forth across the floor and got most of the high spots down. And you can see it's fairly flat, fairly smooth, but there are still some areas kind of like that, kind of like this. They're still a little low. There's some about right here that's a little low over there, and then we've got some spots up here toward the front that are high. But it's close enough now that I can start making laps, which goes pretty quick. When you're leveling or when you're knocking the high spots down, the blade gets pretty full pretty quick, and you kind of have to find places to put it here or there. You may have to raise a little, lower a little. But when I'm making laps, this is about as full as I want my blade. And the reason why is because I want to be able to make the turn at the end of the house. I want to be able to make it smooth. And if you've just got this amount of litter, then when you turn, you don't peel up another berm about that big. If you've got it full, it's just like running a box blade and anything else. If you've got a full blade when you turn, you're going to build up a little streak about that big on the side of your blade. If you've just got it about here, which is, I don't know, maybe a quarter full, then you won't have to worry about building the berm. But anyway, we're going to start going around in circles, and actually Danielle's calling, so I'm going to answer the phone, and then we're going to go around in circles. gonna call this house done. Show you what we did. See here how much smoother the floor is than it was when we first came in. That's a vast improvement. And is the floor flat? No. Is the floor level? No. Is the floor flat enough and level enough to grow a flock of chickens? Oh yeah, that'll work. The main thing we're after here is to get the floor level enough under feed lines and water lines that we don't have to do a lot of hand adjusting. That takes a little time. It's kind of aggravating, and we don't want to have to do any more of it than is absolutely necessary. And this is pretty good. I mean, it's about as good as you can ask for, really. We've got a few high spots still in here. They're just going to be there. I don't think they're high enough to get into any water lines and make them leak, so I'm not going to really worry about them. So this is what we do. You've seen part one was we built windrows, we turned windrows. Part two has been spreading windrows, taking out excess litter and smoothing up the floor, leveling the floor and smoothing the floor. This is probably going to be the end of this one. If I run into anything else that y'all might find interesting, or that I think you might find interesting, I'll stop and video some more. But this is probably going to be about the end of it. I still got 5 houses to go, and it's getting dark. And like I said earlier, I'm ready to be done. So, you guys, hope you enjoyed it. I hope it showed you a little glimpse into what we have to do between flocks to get ready for babies. We'll be setting up Tuesday. I don't know if we'll video any of that or not. A lot of my family will be here. I don't know that any of them really want to be on camera, but if they do, that's great. You know, and we may do just me and Danielle on camera and let them kind of go ahead of us, and we'll come along behind and do what we need to. We'll go from there. But I hope you're enjoying these. We're kind of enjoying making them. Gives you a little glimpse into our life, and what it takes to grow chickens. And this is how we make our living. It's not the most glamorous life ever, but it pays the bills, and we don't have to deal with people, which is a pretty good deal. So anyway, like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you next time.